Okay, let's dive into this. We talk a lot about big crises, right? Housing, justice, healthcare.
Mm-hmm. The usual suspects.
Exactly. But today, we're kind of auditing something maybe less visible, the massive hidden financial cost of trauma.
Yeah, specifically adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, and domestic violence. It's huge.
And the key thing our sources show is this isn't just a social problem or, a moral one. It's actually this massive, like, $1 trillion hit to the U.S. economy every single year.
Staggering, isn't it? And what's really fascinating, I think, is the response described in the sources. This Sean Sherrie Ecosystem.
Right.
Their mission, it's framed almost like they call it a divine assignment. The goal isn't just business.
No, it's about systemic change, building places where people are, quote, not just housed, but healed.
Exactly, and aiming to really reform real estate, finance, community beating, making trauma-informed practices totally central.
That framing is really powerful. The divine assignment, referencing Matthew 25.4r, putting service first. But, for listeners, maybe focus more on policy or finance.
Mm-hmm.
How does that translate?
That's the crux of it. How do you turn this deeply felt mission into something scalable, something that works in the secular world?
Yeah, like an economic model.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's what this framework seems designed to do. It basically operationalizes the mission. It builds the tech, the financial proof.
To make the systems, the secular systems, see the moral issue as a financial one, too.
You got it, a fiscal imperative.
Yeah.
So our goal today in this deep dive is to really unpack that hidden invoice, as they call it,
Okay.
and look at the specific framework they built, solving for I, which essentially puts a number, an ROI, on healing.
Okay, let's start with that invoice then. The scale. You said over $1 trillion annually across the U.S. Where? Where is that actually going?
It's like a leaky sieve. It's
Right.
just bleeding out everywhere. The sources give some breakdowns.
Well-
Adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, that's about $748 billion a year in North America.
Just ACs alone.
Wow. Yep. Then add domestic violence, another $8.3 billion annually, just that specific piece. And if you bundle together all the cyclical stuff, violence against women, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, ACs, the Macasha ecosystem is directly trying to cut down.
Yeah.
That's costing U.S. taxpayers $8 billion a year, directly.
So huge macro, costs healthcare, social services, prisons. But what really struck me was the micro level, this invisible business drain. How does trauma actually show up on, say, a small business's P&L?
Yeah, the silent bill. It's insidious. The average small business, and this is across industries, they absorb about $13,000 a year in costs directly tied to trauma.
13 grand.
Yeah.
But they don't see a line item for trauma costs.
Never. It's disguised. It shows up as higher health insurance premiums because employees are stressed, maybe getting sick more often.
Makes sense.
It shows up as burnout, which leads to turnover, people leaving, and just massive absenteeism, people not being able to come to work.
$13,000 per business. That's a serious unbudgeted hit. Can you make that more concrete? Like, what does that 13K actually look like for, say, an HR manager dealing with this?
Okay, sure. Think about lost productivity. The data shows that just one survivor of domestic violence, they lose, on average, 137 work hours a year.
Wow. That's like over 3 weeks of work.
It is. And those are hours spent maybe dealing with lawyers, going to court, finding emergency childcare, maybe having to suddenly move.
Right, the practicalities of the crisis.
Exactly. And then often that employee might eventually leave because the situation is just too unstable.
Yeah.
And replacing them, that costs the company about 20% of their annual salary. Recruitment, training.
So it's just this constant expensive cycle for the business.
It's a very draining cycle.
Yeah. And if you zoom out again to the community level.
That cost multiplies, right?
Oh, massively. When you add up all the support systems needed, shelters, legal help, medical costs, police time, mental health support, the estimated cost for one domestic violence survivor in one community, it's around $70,000 a year. $70,000 per person per year.
And if you're not fixing the root cause, the trauma itself, you're basically guaranteeing you'll pay that 70 grand again next year.
Yeah.
And the year after.
That really sounds like a failed system. Just managing the fallout, not solving it.
That's the argument here. It's unsustainable.
Which brings us right to the core idea, the innovation they're proposing. How do you get investors, policymakers, people driven by the bottom line to actually prioritize healing? Yeah. Especially when the return on investment feels, well, kind of abstract.
Right. And that's where this solving for formula comes in. It's designed to flip the script,
Okay.
to show that it's actually financially irresponsible not to invest in these solutions. The equation itself is pretty simple. ROI equals Y times A divided by S.
Okay, ROI, YA. Let's break that down. We need to be really clear on what YA and S mean in the real world.
Definitely. So A is that annual ACE burden, the cost of trauma we've been talking about. It could be the $13 for the small business, the $70 for the community, or even scaled up to that $1 trillion national figure. It's the cost you're already paying.
Got it. The hidden invoice amount. What's S?
S is the investment, the annual cost of the Sean Sherrie ecosystem or whatever intervention you're implementing. So providing the trauma-informed housing, the support pathways, the tech, the cost of the solution.
Okay, cost of the problem, A, cost of the solution, S. Now, Y, that feels like the key. It's the percentage of pain prevented or cycles broken.
Yeah.
How on earth do you measure that accurately enough for finance people?
That's the clever part, I think. It's data-driven. You're not trying to measure happiness or something subjective.
Yeah.
You measure the reduction in the drain. So if a survivor gets stable, trauma-informed housing through the system, their Y value increases because you track the immediate drop in their use of expensive crisis services.
Ah, okay, so fewer ER visits.
Exactly. Fewer police calls related to their situation, less absenteeism from work, maybe their income stabilizes.
Got it. So Y is measured by the decrease in those measurable costs associated with the trauma.
Precisely. It's the objective savings you achieve by stopping the negative cycle.
And what does the math show when you plug real numbers into this?
It shows it's a solid investment, the break-even point. It's reached when you prevent just 69% of those hidden losses.
69%. So if the system stops a little over 2/3 of the financial drain caused by the trauma,
it pays for itself. The investment S is covered by the savings generated, YA.
and the potential upside, the actual ROI?
That full effectiveness, what they call full cycle breaking, basically, a successful intervention that really stabilizes someone, the ROI is calculated at 1.45x.
1.45 times the investment.
Yes. And here's the kicker. That return comes only from preventing the hidden losses you were already suffering.
So you don't need new customers, new revenue streams.
Nope, you just stop the bleeding, stop paying that silent bill. The ROI comes purely from loss prevention.
It's like this formula forces leaders to confront that. You know, that concept, the 5-second rule, where your brain tries to talk you out of acting on a decision almost immediately.
Interesting parallel. How so?
Well, if the trauma invoice stays hidden, invisible,
Mm-hmm.
leaders can rationalize doing nothing, delaying. The cost just keeps mounting silently. But this solving for being, it makes the cost explicit and the solution measurable. It demands action like within that 5-second window before you talk yourself out of it.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It transforms the moral case into an urgent financial one. If you have the data showing the cost, then inaction isn't just passive, it's arguably a fiduciary failure.
Okay, so the formula is the roadmap. The Macasha ecosystem, then, is the vehicle. The sources call it a full-stack human ecosystem, even a galaxy. They specifically say it's not a funnel. Why is that distinction important? Galaxy versus funnel.
Well, a funnel implies, a linear path. Start here, end there. But trauma isn't like that.
Right, it's messy, cyclical.
Exactly. So a galaxy model suggests intervention needs to happen at lots of different points, sometimes all at once. Healing over here, professional training over there, fixing the justice system, changing policy. It's interconnected.
Needs a whole suite of tools, not just one pathway.
Precisely.
Okay, let's zoom in on one key tool in that galaxy then, the bail eligibility assessment tool, BEAT app.
Why do we need tech for something like bail hearings? What's broken in the current process?
The issue is often that bail decisions rely heavily on what's immediately obvious physical injuries, maybe a police report from that one incident.
Okay.
But that misses the chronic pattern of abuse, right?
Yeah.
Especially economic abuse, psychological control, things that don't leave visible marks but are huge risk factors.
So the BEAT app tries to capture that full picture.
Its mission is really stark: to prevent a victim from facing more violence or even death by making sure the perpetrator isn't released on bail without a full assessment of the evidence and risk. It uses data to force a more complete picture. How does it do that? What kind of evidence does it gather that, say, a standard police report might miss?
It's built as a secure platform, IPA compliant, where victims or their advocates can upload Well, basically everything. Videos, audio recordings, photos, text messages, emails.
Okay, the digital trail.
Yes. Plus, therapy notes, records of ER visits, but also, crucially, financial documents, pay stubs, bank statements, credit reports, things that show economic abuse. Is the abuser controlling all the money, ruining the victim's credit?
Things that show control and make it impossible for the victim to leave safely.
Exactly. Things often totally invisible to the court during a quick bail hearing.
And then the app takes all this very data and does what with it?
It merges it all, synthesizes it into one clear, concise report. It includes photo appendices, summaries. It essentially creates a professional, data-backed package.
For who? Who sees this report?
It's designed to go directly to the decision makers, law enforcement, the judge, the lawyers involved, the district court commissioners who often set initial bail.
So it replaces potentially incomplete anecdotal accounts with a structured, evidence-based assessment.
That's the goal, to improve the objective assessment of actual danger based on a much wider set of data points.
That sounds potentially game-changing for those situations.
I see.
Okay, what are some of the other tech pieces in this Macasha galaxy? You mentioned healing, scaling.
Right. So there's SoulScan. Think of this as the diagnostic tool at the start.
Okay.
It uses an algorithm, they call it a multifunctional IFIN algorithm, to look at personality, what motivates someone, their ACE score.
And the output is?
Not a label or a judgment, but a roadmap, a personalized guide from a place of pain into healing and self-actualization. It helps point the person to the right resources within the ecosystem for them.
Okay, connects them to the right help. Then you mentioned scaling through professionals.
Yeah, that's Macasha Pro. This is their professional development platform. Because if you want to change how housing and finance work, the people in those industries need new skills.
Trauma-informed skills.
Exactly. So Macasha Pro provides really specific training on trauma-informed practices in real estate and lending, client interactions, leading to a Macasha certification.
So it trains the workforce to handle these situations better.
Right. Builds that capacity within the existing systems.
And what about the community support piece?
That connects to CWLO, which stands for Communities We Love On, Inc. It's the nonprofit arm, a 501c3.
Okay.
CWLO focuses on providing the actual safe spaces, the skill-building workshops, the tangible support survivors need to break the cycle for good.
And making noise on a bigger scale. Advocacy.
That seems to be change. SeanSherrie.com. It's described as a national advocacy app. It lets users build their own PR campaigns, public policy pushes.
To tackle the systemic barriers.
Yeah, to try and change the laws and policies that keep people trapped. Lobbying at scale, basically.
And one more. An AI assistant. How does that fit in?
That's Lumira AI. They call her a female genie built into another platform called My Progeny. Lumira's role is interesting. It helps professionals, like real estate agents or lenders, handle difficult client conversations with empathy and logic.
Like if a client is panicking about the market crashing or pushing back hard on price.
Exactly. Lumira provides suggested responses that are trauma-informed, that validate the client's fear, but also offer logical reassurance. It embeds that compassionate communication style right into the workflow.
So it helps maintain trust even when things get tense.
That seems to be the idea. Keep the relationship stable, especially when dealing with vulnerable clients.
This whole thing, the scale, the detail, the tech, it feels intensely personal. Which leads us to the founder. The sources really emphasize her identity.
Yes. Survivor, mother, truth bearer. She explicitly positions herself as a bridge.
Between broken systems and broken people.
That's the language used. Carrying healing into both. And the key is that the system wasn't designed in a vacuum. It came directly from her own lived experience.
Walking through abuse, poverty, homelessness.
Yes, and facing systemic rejection herself. That experience, the sources say, gave her this unique insight into the cracks that must be filled, because she experienced them firsthand.
There's a powerful quote mentioned, "Her scars are evidence that I can sit with the broken without judgment." That really speaks to the core values, doesn't it? Social justice, tech innovation for housing, but rooted in compassion.
Absolutely. And, you know, to take on something this huge, challenging, major systems like justice and finance, it takes a certain kind of drive.
A specific personality style.
The sources mention she aligns strongly with the D-style profile. Direct, decisive, a problem solver, willing to take risks.
Challenges the status quo, manages crises, laser-focused on results.
Exactly. That kind of profile is almost necessary for driving change on this scale.
And there's a practical tip in there for listeners, too. If you're interacting with a D-style leader or maybe pitching an idea to someone like that, how should you approach it?
Yeah, the communication advice is key because the D style values efficiency and results above all else. Long stories, vague ideas, they won't fly.
So the DOs are.
Be brief, be direct, use bullet points, not long paragraphs. Focus on what the results, the ROI, not necessarily all the details of the how, and stick to logic, not emotional appeals.
Clarity and outcomes. That's what gets through.
That's what enables someone with that drive to make a quick decision and move forward. It's about respecting their focus on results.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway seems to be this powerful blend of empathy and economics.
Right. It's making the case that solving these deep-seated social problems, these issues rooted in trauma, it's not just the right thing to do, it's actually financially smart.
That 1.45x ROI, it argues that it's financially irresponsible not to fix these problems.
Exactly. It reframes the entire conversation about investing in social good. It's not just charity, it's sound fiscal policy.
By putting a number on that hidden invoice, it gives businesses, governments, the data they need to justify investing in healing.
Moving it from maybe a nice-to-have philanthropic idea into a core strategy for preventing measurable financial losses.
So the final thought for you listening, this whole trauma-informed approach, this idea of asking, what happened to you? Not, what's wrong with you? It clearly has legs beyond just housing or justice, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about workplaces, schools, healthcare. Anywhere humans interact, trauma can be a factor with hidden costs.
So if the cost of trauma is quantifiable, and if there's a provable path to getting a return on investment by addressing it,
then the question becomes, what hidden invoice are you paying right now in your job, in your organization, maybe even in your community? And could this kind of trauma-informed, data-driven approach be the way to finally solve it?